It's time to build the holy grail of Space Marine kits, RTB01. Let's go. Hello, I'm Marcel.
And I'm Mrs. Snakeworks. These are the R2B01 Space Marines, RTB standing for Rogue Trader Box, and 01 being the first in the series of box sets. The RTB01 is a classic Space Marine design and helped pave the way for all Space Marines that followed. So to pay homage to this fantastic kit, we are going to build and paint a squad in a suitable era-appropriate manner.
So what's up, Oldhammer fans? Today we're going to build a 10-man squad of these old plastic Space Marines, also known as beakies, and if you're of a certain age, you might refer to them as wombles.
Underground, overground, wombling free. The wombles of Wimbledon, common are we.
This is my pile of shame, or garage of shame as I like to refer to it as. Somewhere in here is the RTB01 box. It'll be in one of these clear boxes, next to the old bit of carpet, random bits of wood and strimmer. Everyone's garage is full of this crap too, right? Eagle-eyed viewers will also spot some potential future project videos. There's a half-built Thunderhawk gunship, which has collected a lot of dust over the years, and also part of a Sylvanian family's grand hotel, which I think will make an excellent Arbeits precinct building one day. There's also a helmet, and it's not mine. I never show my own helmet on the internet, unless I'm asked nicely. Now I know I'm going to get some flack for that dusty Thunderhawk, but it is planned in to get around to sorting out one day. I do actually need to acquire some plastic Hellstrike miniatures. Miniatures? Missiles to finish it. I guess they are also miniatures, aren't they? Does anyone know we can buy those separately? Are there any good bit sellers online these days? They always seem to be sold out of the stuff I need when I go to these places. The box we're looking for is inside this big box here. It does mean we'll have to rearrange half of this stuff to get to it, but needs must. Also on the right is a feeler shoebox. I don't even remember ever owning a pair of feelers. And that's weird. Here's what we're looking for. Look at all these lovely Oldhammer goodies. We have Terminators and Tyranids, the original Predator, a Strike Force, some old Lord of the Rings stuff, and we have two sets of RTB01. One of them is sealed and it can stay that way. Let's take the open one. Now, even though the sealed one has absolutely terrible condition shrink wrap on it, I do still want to keep it that way. I don't think many sealed ones exist anymore in the world, so as Indiana Jones would say, it belongs in a museum.
It belongs in a museum!
So here is the RTB01 box in all of its glory. Check out that fantastic John Sibbick artwork on the front cover there. It's a classic. This box is also quite large. It's a bit bigger than A4 and it might have a proper size naming definition, but I don't know it. If you think you do, then let us all know. We'll have a closer look at it in a moment. Here is the back of the box. This shows us all of the miniatures you get assembled and painted. A list of contents, some information on the Marines and a few statistics, along with a few other interesting oddities. Again, we'll have a closer look at those in a bit. The long side of the box has the Space Marine logo and a trio of Marines. More on those again later. One of the box ends has the logo and a few illustration software paint jobs. The same goes for the other long side of the box. The other short side has no illustrations, but does have some gumph or information. Also, this bit of sellotape fell off the box. Although I usually like to keep bits of old boxes and things, this one can go in the bin. Now also, it's yellowed. Has that happened due to the aging process, or did they use a more sepia toned sellotape back in the 80s? Different sort of plastic or something. Also, on a side note, I remember on Blue Peter back in the day, they didn't call it sellotape, they called it sticky back plastic. and that always confused the hell out of me. By the way, can you remember the Tracy Island they built on there? That was fantastic.
And here it is, the secret hideaway of that famous international rescue team.
Okay, so we've had a brief overview of the box, but let's have a look at some of the more interesting details on there, starting with the front. So firstly, here are 3 of the Marines built and painted from the set. All 3 of these are from the Crimson Fists chapter, and you will notice they do not have Goblin Green bases. This set actually predates the Goblin Green by 2 or 3 years. I think that appeared just prior to the release of 2nd edition Warhammer 40k. There is also this interesting sci-fi version of the Citadel miniatures logo. It's usually a fantasy castle, but for early Rogue Trader they used this sci-fi version. I think it's pretty cool, and feel they should have kept it. Although it might have made their branding less standardised, it would be cool to make a model of this one day. Shall we ask Marcel to make one?
I'm going to add that to the list as well. Hold on a moment. Moving on to the back of the box. I love this. It's chock-a-block, full of information, pictures and oddities. I don't think I've used the word chock-a-block in a long time, if ever. The most striking image on the back is this picture of all 30 Marines from the box, built and painted. It's Crimson Fists, of course. We're told in the corner that these are sculpted by Jez Goodwin, Ali Morrison and Bob Naismith. Who sculpted which part exactly is unknown to me, so again, if you know, please let us all know. The other corner of the picture tells us that these miniatures are supplied unpainted. Us veterans know all this, but I do wonder if anyone new to the hobby back then expected them to come built and painted out of the box. Now, although you might think they all look pretty normal and built as you would expect, a closer look will tell us otherwise, but more on that later. Also, don't they look bloody lovely? We also have this fantastic bit of text about the Space Marines. The Imperium stretches across the galaxy from rim to rim. This vast empire is protected by the Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, the most feared warriors in the galaxy. A Space Marine is a man, but also much more than a man. He is the ultimate warrior. The Marines illustrated here belong to the Crimson Fist chapter. Each chapter has its own secret base, weapon shops, training programs, and traditions. Space Marines wear powered armour, made up from flexible armoured shells connected by fibre bundles, rather like muscles. Thus, a Marine can walk, run, or leap, at least as well as an unarmoured man. The Marine's helmet has a system of built-in auto-sensors which relay visual images, sounds and smells directly into the Marine's mind. We then also have a description of the contents of the box. This box contains a selection of typical equipment carried by each squad. A Marine squad of 10 men always includes at least one heavy weapon, like the missile launcher or flamer. Each squad is led by a sergeant armed with 1 or more pistols. Other Marines carry the bolt gun. Because Marines often become involved in hand-to-hand fighting, every man carries a knife, and many guns are modified to take whirring combat blades. Now, interestingly, they say there that the bolt guns are modified to carry the chain bayonets. Nowadays, I think they're just standard attachment points, as opposed to modifications. There are also these interesting stat lines given for a standard Space Marine, and also the commander. You will see there are some interesting stats like CL, which represents cool. Of course, I myself would get a 10 for this. And INT, which I think means intelligence. There's also WP there, and I've no idea what that was. Weapon proficiency or something? It's willpower. I realised this while I was in the edit. Another interesting tidbit you can see, crack, as in crack grenades, was originally spelt normally, and not with a Mortal Kombat K. All those extra stats like cool and intelligence pretty much just got rolled into one big one. Leadership. Now here, when I was writing this script a long time ago, I was going to say, would you like to see those stats return? Well, they did, didn't they? In the new Horus Heresy game. And that gives you an idea of just how long ago I started writing and filming this video.
Next up, we have a parts breakdown. I think they refer to these as schematics, like the intro to Airwolf, 10 internet cookies if you remember that TV show.
Anyway, everything here looks pretty normal at first glance. Things like bolt guns, flamers, marine helmets and jetpacks? Wow, so a backpack is referred to here as a jetpack. The reason for that is because those little balls on the side there were originally designed as little thruster things, like Harrier jump jet exhausts. I guess they kind of forgot about that idea down the line. Also, we don't have a power fist or glove, but a power arm. You can give them a good whack with your elbow. Don't they do that in Thai boxing?
But she got caught! She got caught! She's on her back!
The last oddity is the holstered pistol being a needle gun. Everyone I know considers this a bolt pistol, but needle guns and needle pistols did exist in the lore, so it looks a bit like a mix-up or change happened somewhere down the line. Now I love finding odd little nuggets of weirdness like this. You can get an idea of how things were evolving back at this time. The back of the box, of course, gives us a full rundown of what's in the box.
This box contains 17 sprues of highly detailed, hard styrene plastic components with enough pieces to construct 30 marine models. These include heavy weapon operatives with missile launchers and flamers, as well as personality models.
Personality models, I do think the change to character models was a better one. I do think characters sounds a lot better than personalities. And the box also gives us some basic assembly instructions.
Individual pieces should be trimmed from the sprues using a pair of scissors or a modelling knife. Care may be needed for some of the smaller pieces. Trim any waste plastic using a modelling knife. We advise washing the pieces in warm soapy water, after which they should be handled as little as possible. Assemble the chosen pieces using a polystyrene cement. Spare pieces may be used for conversions. Undercoat your models before painting. We recommend using Citadel Colour, a range of non-toxic, water-based acrylic paint for the best results.
I love how they give permission for your spare parts to be used for conversions. May be used. Brilliant. There's also this little cool monster thing holding what I think is a knife and a Dremel. He was on a few early pieces of box art and then never appeared again. Who is he and when will he be coming back? Oh, and there's also...
These model kits are not suitable for small children. Probably because the pieces are tiny and for some reason children like to swallow these things. Or put them up their noses or their ears. No idea why.
Nowadays, I think they say for children under 36 months. Now, with the generic information out of the way, we can then move on to some interesting pieces of box art that a lot of people have sadly never seen. So prepare yourselves for a treat. Well, I think it's a treat anyway. Okay, so have a look at these. Some artwork featuring different chapters from the side of the box. And I love the old, more spindly looking chapter logos. The first side has Blood Angels looking red, as they should. Blood Drinkers having the more orange look, later stolen by the Blood Angels. The Crimson Fists, the poster boys of Rogue Trader. The Dark Angels in their pre-heresy black. And then the Flesh Eaters in a more cherry pinky red, which I really like. We then have the Flesh Tearers in black, as opposed to the red and black of today. And finally, everyone's favourite Captain Scarlet knockoff chapter, the Rainbow Warriors. Spectrum is green. As a youngster, I thought the Rainbow Warriors looked really cool. The other side of the box has some more chapters. This time, we have the most boring of all chapters, the Iron Hands, followed by the shitters, or Silver Skulls, I think that's supposed to say. It's been redacted. Also, their logo of a skull looks proper funny. We also have the Space Wolves with their awesome first logo, wearing an interesting browny tinted grey armour. Next up are the Ultramarines, looking quite normal, although you might notice early Ultramarine logos had longer nubs on the side of their U on the logo. Lastly, we have the White Scars. Their logo does look a lot like today's, and the scheme does too. These guys appear to have changed very little. I really do like the look of those old White Scars, and I've always been a little bit tempted to paint some. I just don't like their lore or background a lot. I just like the look of them. Do any of you guys suffer from that affliction, like you like the paint scheme but you don't like the background, so it prevents you wanting to paint some? There's also one more interesting piece of information.
Citadel's Ranger plastic model kits are manufactured in a hard plastic styrene compound which faithfully reproduces the intricate details of the original hand-sculpted masters. They are ideal for collectors or for use with Warhammer 40,000, the futuristic tabletop battle game. Citadel Miniatures produce a vast range of fantasy models suitable for use with all your favourite fantasy and science fiction games. Look out for the latest Citadel journal and compendium in your local stockist. For latest release lists, please send a first-class stamped SAE to Citadel Miniatures, Chewton Street, Hilltop, Eastwood, Nottingham, NG163HY. Customers in the USA and Canada, please contact Games Workshop US 8920, Route 108, Columbia, MD 21045, USA.
I don't think I would get a response if I sent an SAE to them or stamped addressed envelope, as I don't think they have the same address anymore. However, it also mentions the Citadel Journal and Compendium. I know about the journal later on, but what was the compendium? Do they just mean White Dwarf collections? Alright then, now it's time to dig into the box and have a little fiddle with what's inside. Now we all know that these RTB01s came with lots of different coloured sprues over the years. There was green, grey, blue, tan, and I think maybe some others. That might have been it. But what colour sprues do you reckon we're going to get in this box? Are you ready to find out? Let's go. The answer is blue. All of the sprues coming out of this box are blue. Part of me expected a mix, but nope, it's all blue. We also have a load of base sprues coming. These ones are black. So here you go. Here are the contents of the RTB01 box. Many RTB01 sprues. Some bases, a few parts which have fallen off the sprues in the box, and one of the box flaps which has also come off. No one likes it when flaps fall off. I suppose now we better have a little sort through. So we actually have 3 different types of sprue, and of those we have 5 of 2 types and 7 of the other, giving us 17 sprues in total. Now 17 seemed like an odd number to me, and I did have to double check that was correct and I wasn't missing anything. Turns out it was correct, so we can move on. I know some of you are big fans of seeing the bare sprues, so let's have a little look at them. This first one is a pretty basic sprue. I think it's known as the close combat sprue, but really it's a mix. It contains 2 pairs of legs, chests, heads and backpacks. When it comes to arms, we have 2 pistol arms, a power fist and commander's head. It also has the missile launcher arms and a random bolter. Here's sprue number 2. This one has the same leg, torso, head and backpack parts, but changes up the other side of the sprue. This time we get 2 paired bolter arms, some bolter bayonet attachments and a few accessories, like ammo clips and binoculars. People usually refer to this one as the tactical sprue, and I would probably agree, it's a fitting term. The third and final sprue now. We should probably call this one the special weapons sprue. This one has a lot of fun things on it, like another power fist or glove, or arm as they refer to it as, a flamer, the one with the cool nozzle and flask attachment, and finally the old classic fan favourite, the missile launcher. Amusingly, as a kid, I thought what we think of as the front was the back, and vice versa. I thought the missile was the bit with the fins on the back there. Also, amusingly, so did an artist who painted a piece featuring some blood angels. It was a wonderful piece of art by a man known as Brian Sweet. Let me see if I can look it up for you.
So, the box also comes with 30 25mm bases. These are a little different to how they are presented nowadays. These ones come on
sprues.
They also feel like the plastic is a lot thinner and cheaper feeling than the bases of today. They almost feel like recasts or something. It's hard to explain. Also in the box were these parts which had fallen off the sprue, 2 heads and an arm. Luckily, that was all that had come off and no parts were missing.
Now, if you're wondering, I did check every single sprue in the box to see if anything had fallen off them and wasn't actually in the box. But luckily, it was just those 3 pieces. Not bad for almost 40 years of storage. 40 years, bloody hell. To begin the build process, we need a bunch of gear. These will be the initial ones. Various glues of different thicknesses, a set of modelling or hobby files, some Tamiya clippers, and of course everybody's favourite tool, Andy the knife. The first job is probably the most boring, removing the bases from the sprues. We do this using Tamiya clippers. They have served us well, but are getting to the age of needing to be replaced. Can any of you recommend a decent pair? The bases are left with a nasty, untidy looking sprue attachment point, so we need to clean that off too. To do that, we scrape it off using Andy the knife, but we have a problem here. The blade isn't sharp, it's not even clean. I think this is dried on super glue. We better replace it before we move on. While swapping the blades, I realised I had another of these knives in the toolbox. I guess this one needs a name too. Now, if you have any suggestions for a name, then please pop them down in the comments below, and I'll get Mrs. Snakeworks to pick her favourite. After cleaning up all those base rims, we were finished. We'll be building a squad of 10, so obviously we need 10 bases. These are the leftover sprue parts from the bases. They do look interesting to me and might make for some nice interesting basing bits or texture later on down the line, I think. So we'll stick those in the basing bits tub. Now, I always recommend keeping a hold of any interesting little parts. Just bung them in an old ice cream tub or something for safekeeping. You never know when they might come in handy.
Right, so this will be the first of the Marines we shall be building. The Commander or Vagrant or whatever you want to call him.
Vagrant? I think that's supposed to be Sergeant.
Our goal is to copy this miniature as best we can. However, have a look at the back of the Marine. I don't think he has a backpack. All of the others do except this guy.
Now, I know I said I wanted to keep this copy as close as possible to be an authentic replica, but my OCD just absolutely will not allow this guy to go without a backpack. The legs we need to match the officer from the box art are these ones, the sort of lunging forward look. Luckily, there's only 2 poses to pick from, so we didn't have to think too much about it. The other one's sort of a horse riding stance. Before we were allowed to glue the pieces together, we have to clean them up. There's mould lines and sprue attachment points that need removing. To begin with, we take the majority off with a sharp knife. And then, to get a nice smooth finish, we used a hobby file to finish the areas off. I do have to say, this plastic is weird. It's sort of hard and soft, all at the same time. It's hard to work with. Here are the results of all that hard work. 1 pair of smooth legs. Smoother than Andre Agassis. Do you remember when Andre Agassis shaving his legs was a big deal? Didn't he say it made him run faster or something? We then used a dab of Tamiya polystyrene cement to attach the legs to the base. We decided on the thick normal stuff as opposed to the extra thin. The next part we need is a torso. Look at that. It's a weird shape, isn't it? The shoulder nubs look really big, but I'm guessing they're going to be fine. Also, I do apologise for my presentation device. In this instance, a big blob of blue tack. To copy the model, we also need the Power Fist arm. This is a nice one, isn't it? I love the double cable look and that layered back of the hand armour panel design. I think it looks very cool. Is there a weapon cooler than a Power Fist? A conversion beamer maybe, that might be up there with them, but other than those, there are no cooler ones.
These are those parts along with the others we need to finish off the commander. We have the other arm with a clenched fist pose, a bare head and the holstered bolt pistol, which the box tells us is a needle pistol. Who's right? Nobody knows. Before we forget, we also need a backpack. Have a look at how small and dainty the RTB01 backpack is. The mould lines on the top, however, are horrendous and take ages to clean up nicely. We kind of did the best I could, but to do a really good job would take a long time. And like Bilkin said, you want time? Buy the magazine.
You want time? Buy the magazine. We don't have time. Just get me something I can use.
To test the posing attempt, we did a little dry run using some blue tack. Everything appeared to go together just how we wanted it, so all we have to do now is glue these parts together and lock them in. And here we are! Our finished commander. I think we did a wonderful job copying the original pose, although we were a little naughty in putting on a backpack.
Maybe the original guys just fell off, or they didn't notice before they took the picture. Or maybe backpacks were even optional in the days of Rogue Trader. If you have a better idea, then please let us all know. What's with all these hand gestures today? The next Marine from the front of the box we shall be attempting to imitate is this guy. The guy cupping his barrel. An interesting pose indeed. Here are the parts we need to assemble Mr. Cup. Legs, torso, head, a pair of arms with the cupping hand, and of course, a backpack, which took forever to clean up. Assembling all of those parts gives us this, the barrel cupper himself. I think we came rather close with this attempt, and we are of course very happy with it. Is there any real world reason why someone might want to cup their barrel? Is he unscrewing it to replace it perhaps? Who knows? Next up we're going to attempt to make this chap, the Missile Launcher Heavy Weapons Marine. As Count Dooku would say, I've been looking forward to this.
I've been looking forward to this.
Again, here are all the parts we need to build the missile launcher guy. The torso, the stepping forward legs, the correct arms for the missile launcher, a head, the missile launcher itself, and a little packet of missiles for his leg. Is packet the correct term? Here we have the actual missile launcher, the first plastic Space Marine heavy weapon. A piece of history. It's quite nice to look at, isn't it? It's very interesting, even if it does look a little over-engineered. Why does it have that pointy cheese wedge front? Why does it have a fan on the back? Nobody knows. After a few minutes assembly, we have this, our missile launcher guy. I think we did a good job on matching the pose from the cover art. This one was actually the fiddliest so far, as getting all the joints to point the right way was a real pain. Alrighty then, so here we are. The first 3 Marines are built. Our versions of the Space Marines from the cover art. I reckon we've done a pretty decent job. My only gripe is that our missile launcher might not be pointing upwards enough, but I don't think anyone's ever going to notice. Next up, we have to build another 7 Marines. We shall be picking the 7 most interesting poses left from that piece of box art we saw earlier. Of course, one of them is going to have to be the special weapons guy, the guy with the flamer.
Here he is, the famous Flamer Marine. We can call him Frankie Flamer. This pose looks pretty simple to copy. Here are all the parts we need to build Frankie. Head, body, legs, backpack, arms, and of course, the flamer arm. This had a few nasty mould lines that took a while to clean up. Nowhere near as bad as the backpacks though. Here we have Frankie, all built and ready to burn some enemies of the Imperium. The way his head is cocked makes me think he is, however, a little confused.
He's probably wondering why his entire squad are squatting like weirdos. Bit like this, innit? Now it's time for a personal favourite of mine next, and it involves a conversion. Here are all the parts we need for this guy. They're all standard. It's just a basic tactical Space Marine after all. Here's what we need to convert. We need to rotate his hand 180 degrees so the palm is facing down and not up. Sounds easy, doesn't it? To prevent his hand pinging off at high speed across the room, we press it into a blob of blue tack to cut it. It works pretty well, but can be a bit fiddly. But it's better, I guess, than a lost part. We then glue the hand on upside down, leaving us with this. It looks fresh off the sprue, doesn't it? We're very happy with our conversion work. We can then put the rest of the Marine together, and that left us with this. Looks pretty good, hey? A basic tactical Marine, but leaning his hand on top of the weapon rather than under it. I've seen this pose quite a lot recently. I think they used it in that Astartes animation. Although it would appear he used it to prevent the recoil. It was a good show anyway, well worth a watch. I also noticed that Marine had one of these attached to him. To me it looks like some binoculars in a case, but the back of the box says it's an ammo pack. This attaches to the Marine's thigh, like so. In my opinion it's upside down, but we're recreating the box art, so it has to be done. So that's another Marine down. How many is that now? 5? We're halfway there already. The next Marine we will attempt to recreate is this guy. Although he's normal, he does have a subtle change. He's holding the bolter at the magazine, instead of using his cup hand. This conversion uses mostly normal Marine parts, but instead of the cup hand, we need the clenched fist hand. That hand might be supposed to be holding something like a grenade or something, but I don't think it is. To do this grip, we need to remove the magazine from the bolter and also the bottom of that magazine to be attached to the bottom of the Marine's hand to give the illusion of gripping it. A fiddly and complicated job indeed. Using the blue tack ball as a cutting mat of sorts, we then cut the bolt gun to bits, removing the bottom of the magazine and the magazine itself. Here is that bottom part. It's tiny. Hopefully it won't fly off the table when we sneeze or something while we're trying to attach it. The first thing we had to do was get that hand attached in the right way, which I think we've achieved. On closer inspection, the fist isn't really big enough to be holding that magazine, but I think without our insider knowledge, you'd never tell. So we then just stuck that tiny little magazine end onto the bottom of the hand. I do think it looks a little odd, but it's also a convincing kit bash, in my opinion. I'm interested to hear what you guys think of that one. Does that magazine hand look wrong? Or do you think we can get away with it?
Okay, with 6 Marines down, we can do the last 40 all at the same time.
40? Sorry, I meant 4.
So we need 4 pairs of legs and 4 bases. As that old game would say, all your base are belong to us. That sentence doesn't even make sense. Not to me. I think the grammar's pretty bad. All your bases belong to us, but all your base are belong to us. Who says that?
We glued the legs to the bases in a pretty standard manner. No converting, fiddling or kit bashing this time, I can tell you. 4 Marines will need 4 torsos, so those were the next parts we acquired and cleaned up off the sprue. Here we have those torsos glued on. To add a little variety to the poses, we changed the angles of the torsos each time. Some were facing forward, some to the left, and some to the right. Alright? Next up, 4 left arms, and all of those needed the cupping hand pose, like the Scousers from Harry Enfield. We will also need 4 of the standard gripping bolter arms. Again, there's no conversion work needed. After a few minutes of fiddling, that felt like hours, we managed to get those Marines holding their bolters. Each one of the hands cupping the underneath of the body of the bolter instead of the barrel.
Now back in the day when I assembled these, I thought the only grip you were able to get was the under barrel cup gripping grip. I couldn't get any of the other grips to work. I didn't think their arms were sculpted in a way that would allow you to use any other arm poses. Maybe back then I just wasn't as good at hobbying.
Right then, to make 4 Marines, we also need 4 of the backpacks. Did I ever mention I hate cleaning these up? Also, Chaos backpacks have a name, the Anvilus pattern, but does anyone know the name of the normal ones, eh? With those backpacks attached, the Marines are almost done, and there's just one part missing. I'd ask you to have a guess, but I think that would be too easy a question. But we're already heading towards the answer.
Heading, heads, I'll get my coat.
So if you didn't work it out, it's 4 heads. 4 of them. 4 little beaky heads. Let's hope we don't get pecked. Sticking these heads on finishes these 4 Marines. They all have very similar poses, don't they? Well, don't worry, we do have a plan to vary them up a bit.
And that plan is bayonets.
We can see on the box art that this Marine has a chain bayonet attached to his bolter. So let's do this one first. As the attachment point is very small, we balance the Marine and his backpack while the bayonet joint glue dried. It was important to get this perfectly balanced so he didn't end up with a droop.
After a few minutes of laying on his back, the glue was dry and he was done. Fantastic pose. Although that bayonet does look comically large.
I think comically large weapons are part of the charm of Rogue Trader, right?
Okay, so another bayonet guy to replicate now. This one isn't a chain version though. It's just a standard knife or blade type weapon. Like the chain bayonet on the last Marine, the attachment point was tiny. So again, we laid the Marine on his back and balanced it there for a while until the glue dried. And after a few minutes, the Marine was ready. It's actually funny just how far out these guys are thrusting their bums, especially when they're pointing their guns forward like that. I don't know if you guys care about such things, but recently for my birthday, I was treated to a couple of Transformers. These are missing link versions of both Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, based on the original 1980s first releases, but with some extra additions, like joints and... actually I think that's it, joints. Anyway, I love them. Right, going back to these guys, I don't know if you can see from this image, but it would appear they have some of their war gear stashed in their shoulder area behind their pauldrons. Let's try to tackle those now. Okay, so one has what looks like a box, and this thing from the options also looks like a box. Looks a bit like a Game Boy with teeth on the side. Oh dear. So it would appear it's too big to fit in the hole. We'll have to go back to the drawing board with this one. Okay, so we've found a smaller looking box. This one looks like an ammo pouch. Let's see if this works. No it doesn't. It's still too big. I wonder what they've used then. Maybe I'm missing something.
I think it's back to the drawing board with that one. Let's move on to the other guy.
Okay then, so this one should be a lot easier. It's a knife and there's only one in the kit, so we can't get it wrong, right? The knife, when offered up to the shoulder area, looks bloody massive, doesn't it? Well, let's just stick it in there anyway. Who cares, it might be too big. Here are the results of the sticking session. The knife is now attached. It's not in a scabbard or anything, so we'll have to assume it's mag locked on or something.
Alright, let's revisit the box man now, shall we? Let's see if we can get that sorted.
Going back to the original Game Boy piece now, let's see if we can find somewhere else to stick it that actually works. The leg. We went with the leg. Although it still looks pretty big on that, at least it fits. With that man's Game Boy attached, we now have all 10 Marines built. That didn't take too long, did it?
They were really good fun to build, although they were a little bit fiddly. But it doesn't end there, we still have some things to do.
Before we move on, let's put all of the sprues back in the box. There's still quite a few bits left over on those, and we don't want to lose them. We have plans for those on another day. We need some basing texture now. I have this old tub of various grits from around the globe. Different grades of modelling grit, dust, slate chips, bits of bones and dried up dog shit. You name it, it's in there. It's great. We also need some PVA glue. We like to use this stuff, made by Cascares. It's really good and it dries quick. Also, I'm running out of it, so please remind me to buy some more.
You guys probably all know this, but all PVA glues are not equal. The cheap school PVA glues break down when they get moist or wet. They're useless. You need to get some that's for exterior use.
First things first, we squeeze some PVA glue out onto a pallet. We use an old large oval base for this. After mixing in a touch of water, we then paint a layer of PVA onto that base. We like to work it all the way out onto the edge of the top, but always like to leave a little gap around the Marine's feet to stop the texture piling up over them. Also, try not to get any of the grit on the rim. Before the glue dries, we quickly give the Marine a dunk and swish around in our gritting texture tub. If you noticed you missed a spot, just put it back in. Luckily, unlike digestive biscuits, they don't fall apart in your tea if you stick around in there too long.
Now I do love digestive biscuits, and I do not like rich tea biscuits. Well, they're alright I suppose, but digestives are a lot better. But that will lead us on to today's big question. Which is the better biscuit? A digestive or a rich tea? Let us all know in the comments below.
Although trying our best, sometimes we do find bits of grit stuck to the rim. No one likes a gritty rim, so we use our finger to gently rub around our rim, cleaning off any muck and grit. After a few minutes of dunking and rim rubbing, all 10 Marines are now ready for the next stage. Can you guess what it is? Well, let's find out, shall we? It's potion time. We first grab a little pot. We like to use this old jelly tub. We then add a little water and squirt some PVA into it. We also give it a damn good stir. You don't want to see any chunky white lumps in there.
Now I don't think it would cause any working issues, but it might leave some unsightly blobs on your miniatures bases. Then again, it might actually add some interesting texture. Maybe one day we'll try it.
Using a pipette, we drop a couple of drops of the watered down PVA mixture onto the bases. Sometimes it doesn't run into all the nooks and crannies, so if that happens, we use an old crap brush to give it a poke into the right places. While that basing seal dries, we like to put the Marines on a piece of plastic. This is because sometimes the PVA can run off the edge and stick the model to the surface. If it's paper, it leaves a big mess. Plastic just peels off. We used the same pipette PVA dripping method on each of the Marines. It didn't take too long to do, 10. Now it looks like they are standing on soggy biscuits. Lovely.
All we have to do now is wait for that PVA seal to dry. This can take quite a while, so as usual I find it's best to leave them to dry overnight.
Next up, courtesy of the lovely people over at Warmag, we're going to add some magnets. To start this process, we pop out 10 of the magnets from the sheet, taking care to pick the right size. We then peel the backing paper off the sticky part of the magnet. The adhesive backing, is that it? Anyway, we then carefully apply the magnets to the underside of the bases, taking care to make sure they all sit nicely inside and not overlapping or poking out or something.
Now everyone knows I do absolutely love the Warmag magnet system, but I do feel they need to be just a little bit smaller in diameter. Smaller. Then I think they'd be just that little bit easier to apply. Unless I'm the only one who struggles because I've got sausage fingers.
With the magnets added, we can now see the Marines are now magnetic. That means they stick to things, like another sheet of magnets, maglocked. They'll even stick to other metal things, like the desktop lamp arm. You can see here just how strong the magnets are. The Marine is hanging upside down, and I'm not worried at all about him falling off.
I do love the Warmag magnets, and this video isn't actually sponsored by them, but I do recommend them myself on a personal level. They are very good. Now speaking of things that are good, If you're enjoying this video, then please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Joseph. And remember, Mrs. Snakeworks has said that when we hit 25,000 subscribers, we're allowed to order a Reaver Titan. So please smash that subscribe button and we can hit that target ASAP. Also, if you are enjoying the content on the channel, then please consider joining us on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below, and I'll stick one up here for you too. Or you could even become a channel member, which is becoming all the rage these days. Again, there's a link to that in the description below.
We've put 1 magnet in. That leaves us with another 9 left for the rest of the squad. All of these, like you would imagine, are applied in exactly the same way. With all of the magnets applied, the Marines are now magnetised. Here you can see them standing on a magnetic sheet inside a box, which I'll be using for storage. Another of Warmag's mighty products.
Right, while we put our big pile of used paints away, which we didn't even use, I just want to give a massive loving shout out to all our channel members and Patreons. Dan Yallop, Lee Blackley, Donald, Dixie Wrecked, Pine Tree, Mike Okina, Bobzilla, Charles Marlowe, Wilmer Dick Fitter, Andrew Marrington, Isla Vanel, Nick Ellingham, Penny Tracian, Verizon Bantams, Timbo, Sven V, SDK, FZ, Fordweld, Craig McCahill, Mike Patterson, and our newest member, Drew Owen B. Thank you all so much for supporting us. If you want your name and lights and read out by me, Mrs. Snakeworks, then you can sign up using any of the links in the description below. We love you all.
We really do. So, that's all 10 Marines, all magnetised and ready to go. So, without further ado, let's check out the finished article, shall we?
So here they are, all 10 RTB01 Space Marines built, based and ready for paint.
We really had a wonderful time building these, and it was an awesome trip down memory lane just unboxing them and following the process.
The Space Marines were pretty easy to build, with only a couple of awkward stumbling blocks along the way. But anyone worth their salt in the hobby world would find these guys a breeze.
Keen-eyed viewers will note we have only built 10 of a 30-man set, but that is intentional. We do have plans for all the others. I guess you'll have to stick around to see that.
The next step, of course, is to get them painted, and I think the obvious choice would be to go with Crimson Fists to follow in the Oldhammer aesthetic and keep them era appropriate. We are, however, open to other Oldhammer chapter suggestions, so please feel free to let us all know yours in the comments below if you reckon you've got any better ideas.
I cannot wait to get started. If you want to see some more Oldhammer themed videos, then check out the playlist up here somewhere. And as always, thank you very much for watching.